Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath, and just finish up with clients, and you guys know stuff just buzzes in my spirit for you. And this was about closure and conversations. And what I want you to understand is that the client was saying she didn't know how she could move on without having had closure from her distorted masculine counterpart, lover, friend. Okay? And I'm here to tell you that you can have closure. First, closure doesn't exist, right? It's very rare, okay, that it happens. But you get it by being connected to your studies energetically. The ghetto nun calls them the divine university studies, but let's just say your spiritual practices, right? So what I want you to understand is that if you're doing your own work and you just had a real dark night of the soul, you may not have the luxury, specifically because it is actually orchestrated by your angels and ancestors, by God, by whatever higher power you ascribe to, has orchestrated such a catastrophic breakdown so that you could do real spiritual work. Very often, we do not take ourselves into the depths of our spirituality. We're all too satisfied, if we are Christian, to be Christers, attending church on Christmas and Easter, respectively. Faithfully, but not introspectively, not deeply. When you have a dark night of the soul, which is usually triggered by traumatic experiences in your life, whether that be a sudden diagnosis of a traumatic or fatal fatal illness, or a long-term prognosis of something like cancer and the various things, whether you got hit with COVID diagnoses or people in your family having it, or an injury to a loved one, a child, whatever, or in a love relationship. These are the things that bring us to our knees. These are the things that helps us, whether we want it to or not, to dive into the arms of hope. And the only place we find that in such low situations is in the height of our spirituality. Dark nights of the soul strip you usually of a community. You are isolated as you ascend through your spiritual journey, or if it's triggered by heartbreak or injury or sickness. You can only go through it by yourself. We've seen this as we've watched COVID patients making their last final Zoom videos. We come into this world by ourselves and we leave it by ourselves. Even if the culture was formulated so that would not be the case, that people could be by your bedside, God, the universe, the magnetic force that keeps this ball spinning on its axis, created a pandemic and a situation that made it so that none of the societal norms were at play. No more burying and gathering to lay something to rest. No getting to be by the bedside to squeeze the hand of the loved one who has passed away or is on their way of crossing over. Now we do it cold and coolly from screens, what feels like millions of miles away. And the reason that we got to see this, and we are here as divine, feminine, empaths, light workers, whatever moniker you ascribe, we are here to be of service to the ones who have not died, to honor the ones who did die. I'm talking about our ancestral patterns and dark nights of the soul and closure, and how we get through these relationships tie into our ancestral patterns. We've seen the physical model, the heartbreak of the lost one. But when we're dealing with the romantic lost one, excuse me, Y'all know the throat chakra. Or the platonic lost one, the friend, the bestie. I was watching Tammy Romaine make a video, and she was talking about the rules of friendship and what you should or shouldn't do after a friendship. But after any war, there are no rules. We'd like to think that we're these civil humans on the other side of things. But when you're in the battle and things are bloody and swords are spearing body parts, we are not so civil, because the act of war is not a civil thing. Civility, egalitarianism, it is lost in those moments. It is gnashing of teeth and grinding of bone. It is blood spatter. And it is you alone. Back to the closure. When I hear women say to me, and men, you divine empath men out there, when I hear women say to me, I have not had closure, so that's why I'm keeping the phone numbers open, or I'm keeping the energetic portals open, or I'm keeping our telepathy open. I'm going to communicate in the 5D. I'm going to communicate by stalking in the 3D. I'm going to communicate in the 8D by praying to Jesus and going back to my starseed originator where I think we both came from. Whatever the crazy is that you are saying to yourself to justify the connection are all lovely. I am a fire sign and we love a fairy tale. I'll write you 3, I'll sing about 1, but I'm not going to tell you any when it comes to this love and how you actually move on and get her done. You do not delude yourself by thinking that you're being gracious and keeping open a thing, because the truth, there are several about this closure and the pain that you've been in, is that you do not need the counterpart who didn't show up for you to give you answers about shit. Not anything. If you are studying, praying, meditating, and seeking, your angels and ancestors will download every morsel of information, every bit of it. I'm not telling you this because I am living in a fairy tale. I'm telling you this because I did the work. I did the work. Byron Katie calls it the work. The work she speaks of is shadow work, is diving into the reason we've allowed relationships to play out the way that they have. The work she speaks of is the introspective work, the reason that we found ourselves choosing over and over partnerships that were not only not available, but not nourishing. The greatest act of self-love and self-care, the greatest way to demonstrate your newfound self-worth, is to tell the truth about why you haven't yet cut the connection. Last March, when I had to ask myself why the connection was still open, my angels were hilarious and put up a billboard in front of me as I was driving one day back from Trader Joe's, and it said, "Go ahead and tell the truth, girl. You haven't blocked them because you're worried about closure. You're just hoping you talk again." Girls, ladies, I was like, oh, angels, you guys are messy. That pierced my heart and it cracked my face because it was right. It was the truth. It was just the truth. So I rang my singing bowls harder, and I salted faster, and I prayed longer, and I meditated more, and I played rain sticks, and I took naps, and I snored, and I snored. But I did the work to accelerate the ability to cut it off. Now, for me, I was dealing with a covert narc, right? Your situation may be different. But once you walk away from any narcissist, a lot of us have made the mistake to not cut things off and you get rehoovered. I have had plenty experience on that battlefield. And so this time I thought, I'm going to do this completely right. The beauty of, I never thought I'd say this in my life, but the beauty of repeated narcissistic abuse is that you learn how to battle. Okay? I was ill-equipped in my first fights. I was masterful in this last one. I had already begun to disconnect, as I recommend highly that you do. But I left one thing open because I was the person that that sign was talking to. When I served my person with energetic divorce papers, we did not have an exchange of conversation. She tried to gaslight me and lie to me, even as we were speaking, by telling me the things were the truth. And y'all, I can't even get into it. I won't. But what I will say is, I found myself incensed, as I had gone in with really honorable, noble intentions to just be civil. But what did I say about war? I went in just to be like, this is the SALT divorce. Hope all is well. Do you need anything? And that was where my heart was. That's literally why I exchanged energy with her for. But then what happened was all of the horrors of war. Even in a text exchange, the triggering that I experienced that flashed me back into PTSD when I was on the battlefield, that she had zero idea, took zero accountability, and never even cared as she delighted in the spoils of her war. I realized how much I hated her, and that's why I could never go back. That moment, that exchange taught me what for. It also taught me I will receive no closure from her, because whoever communicate with her would be a test to my shadow all the time. When I said she was dead to me, it's funny, it was a Netflix show that she recommended that I watch, and I stopped watching it after a few episodes, not because it wasn't brilliant or that I don't like Christina Applegate or the other lady who I especially love her in everything she does. I cannot think of her name. Yeah, she has like a quiet sexuality. I love that lady. She's interesting. But anyway, if you've seen Dead to Me, I couldn't watch it because I understood what my friend did not. My friend, in all of the quotation marks, was that she was laying out, our higher selves knew what was about to happen. Judas on his way to the Pharisees to collect his shekels. She knew too, even though we did not conversate about it. But in those last moments, I realized, especially with the Dead to Me reference, I didn't watch it because I knew it was prophetic. This is also why I say do your studies. When you're in a battle or on the other side of it, you don't have to have interaction and conversation with the person that you think you need this closure from in order for you to get sane and in order for you to come back down to earth and realize the truth of a situation. In the Akashic Records, for those of you that got your Akashic Record reading, there is a card called the King of Forces and something else. And essentially it says that whoever you were idolizing has never really been a good person. You just painted it over and didn't see it. In the months before the disconnection, I had my closure because I was doing my own readings. I was doing my own prayers. I was doing my own energetic investigations. I was doing my own positive affirmations. So even when we had the opportunity to speak and I saw she still was incapable of accountability or maturity, I realized she was never of service to me in our relationship anyway. That's another truth that you may be running away from, Divine Feminine. She never did shit. She never had to, because I did it. Can you relate? She never had to do the real heavy lifting. Now she'll understand that. But in the time I thought, fuck, here I am. This is where I'm at. And I'm here by myself, alone. And so what I did was I ascended, or rather descended, like Dante's Inferno, into my dark night of the soul, which put me in touch with my spirituality in a way that I didn't think I could be, because I already thought I had gone to the greatest heights that the good Lord had for me. Because in the battle, and as I was sharpening my tools and my spears, for me it was a samurai sword, curved. Something like Tom Cruise carried in The Lost of the Samurai, if you saw it. Energetically, I had to run at my enemies, and that's not my nature. It's not your nature, Divine Feminine. And there was something primal and singular. I was alone, except God and his angels and every ancestor was in my ear, generals and strategists. I was puffed up, and I did a video and I said, I was a general. And I'm not going to take that back, but I was a general because I had ancestors that were generals before me. And so do you. They stood beside me when no one was around, when I was by myself, when I had zero clarity, and I had gaslighters and liars and narcissists before me, when gutter snipes and gigolos and prostitutes did try to adorn me. I was in there with my angels, and we chatted. And I figured out things, and my psychic gifts got more psychicer, but it came from pain. And on the other side of that, when it was over and I was offering the closure, trying to get that, because I realized that she might need it far more than I did in the long run. And then I realized, no, this is still you wanting to be engaged. And after that day, I closed every portal in every way. I also closed the words that I would ever need to hear her say. I closed the reception of things about the person that I considered our son, that she said was our son. I closed all the chapters that I thought were about to be begun. I canceled trips to Italy. I knew we'd never see Rome. I knew when I drove away, I would never go home. And I knew that I would never have a conversation with her to find out the truth. And I knew, just like some of you, that I felt despondent, like I'd given away the best parts of my youth. Ask yourself honestly if you think you could have a conversation with someone who did such treachery without it ever turning completely ugly. I don't want to be that person. I had to be that person in war. But that's not what we incarnated. That's not why we are here for Divine Feminine. It's not just all ugliness. It's not just all fights. Life is so good. There are still yet delights. The best is yet to come. What did Frank say? Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum. Pick your own plum. Give yourself your closure. You know who your partner was and wasn't. You know what they were lying about. I know things that are so detailed that it would blow everybody in their lives' mind, but I never had to ask a liar for clarity. There is no honor among thieves. They turn on each other. They turn on you. They turn on themselves. This is what traitors do. Why do you think if someone, and this is for you that had more extreme cases of emotional, mental, or physical abuse, why do you think that they're going to give you any clarity? Anything that you can actually see through? That's just you still in your love addiction, sweetie. That's just you wanting to still see what that mouth do or that whatever do, you fill in the blank of the body part. Tell the truth to yourself. You know over here, it's all real talk. I know I had to do that, and I had to realize, let it go. Elsa never lied. The cold never bothers you anyway, but if things do warm back up, you get back outside. Shit's pretty good over on this side, actually. But you had to get low and get brought down to your knees. And that's so that you could strengthen your spiritual gifts. It's not so that you can help your divine, distorted hater of a holleration masculine learn how to exist. We're not bringing absolution. We're not bringing any relief. It reminds me of that song, and I've said it before, but if the heavens ever did speak, Divine Feminine, you're the last true mouthpiece. So why do you need to have a conversation with a liar who's never kissed the throne of God? Talk to yourself. Ask yourself why it broke apart. Answer yourself as to why it didn't go the way it went. Protect yourself and love yourself and tell yourself the truth. Everything you need to know, every single answer, every ounce of closure is already in you. I am at total peace today. Even got the picture of my Mowgli energetically sent my way. It's up on my community page for those of you that would like to see. And I am grateful because my angels never abandoned me. I need nothing from that person. I challenge you to ask yourself if the same is true for you. Ask yourself if the thing that you would need in closure is something they're even capable to do. And then tell yourself the truth. You already know. Let go and move on. Be happy again. And know that codependency, in even its strongest form, is no excuse for reconnection. If you're still feeling the addictive pull to be back there, then you need to spend some more time in prayer. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It takes a long time to heal. But I can tell you, if you're at that point, then it's definitely time to kneel. White knuckle it, guys. Pull through. Don't go back. My white knuckles went away in April. It was Easter Sunday. Amen. God's so good. My angels tapped me on the shoulder and they said, on this day, we ascend, the resurrection. Amen. Amen. I love you guys so much. Tough love today, but check yourself. Don't call them. Don't reach back out. Never engage again if you can help it, and protect yourself, right? I love you guys. Come back and join me next time and we'll continue to evolve together.